I did.
Oh, you did.
I do want to mention that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had neglected to mention the fact that we had a promotion in the fire department, and that was involving Donald Stats, who was promoted from firefighter to permanent fire captain. I want to thank Captain Stats for participating in the interview process. Also want to thank the other candidates who interviewed for the position. There were 3 other members of the department that did pass the exam and did participate in the interview process. And I want to thank all of them for their opportunity. There'll be opportunities down the road for everyone. Thank you.
I just want to offer my congratulations to Mr. Stats. I wasn't able to attend the ceremony. I tried very hard, but I was in the midst of a customer crisis that afternoon. Couldn't break loose. The fact that we've had a little bit of opportunities here now, some opportunities open up for some other individuals too, and that's a good thing. Old and new business. Jeff, you want to start?
Sure. I really don't have any old or new business to talk about at this time. However, I do want to congratulate Captain Stats for his promotion, and I'm certain that he'll do a fine job. That's it. Thank you.
Me?
This is on behalf of our colleague who's not here this evening. He wanted me to make sure that I thank the entire community for their participation and assistance towards him in the zip trip. That was I think, a tremendous success for the community. Well, he believes it was, and I also concur with his comments that it was a tremendous success to see our community on local TV, highlighted by the tremendous amount of assets we have in this community, both physical locations and the quality of the people that were interviewed, notwithstanding Mr. O'Leary, who did a fine job.
Keep my daytime job.
You probably should, but you served us pretty well. Rita Mullen, who came armed with
Well prepared.
very, very nervous. I think she was more prepared than I was for a bar exam. She had town reports and everything else, and she got an A+ in the round that she went with VB, and 2 other. You didn't want to name everyone. There was a whole long list of people, but Deb Luciano, who actually started the ball rolling with her connection with her brother over at Fox 25, and also Marty Tilton and his crew for shining up the gazebo area and being there, I think, at probably at 2 in the morning, the day of the zip trip. So that was on behalf of Mr. Prisco, who's not here, and I concur with all his comments. For me, a couple of things. I'd like to get an update as to the appointment of Acting Deputy Chief, Fire Chief, Mr. Belliaconis. Where does that stand, and where are we moving with that process?
I've asked the fire chief for a recommendation, and I'll be making an appointment within the next couple of weeks. I'll consult with the board, but we're at the point where we're ready to make an acting appointment for the deputy fire chief
Right.
position.
And then from there, where are we in terms of the assessment for a fire chief as well as a police chief?
The
Where does
police
that
chief
stand?
assessment has been completed. It was run by HRD.
Okay.
So that piece is done. The fire chief assessment has not begun and will not begin until we can get through the hiring process in the department. As a companion to the acting deputy chief, we have to also make an acting captain appointment. So there are 2 additional appointments and then a firefighter appointment.
Why? Okay.
No, just
I'll let you
the
finish.
firefighter appointment requisition as a result of the board's last meeting has already been submitted. We're waiting for a list back from HRD.
Okay. The one follow-up question I have regarding that, why do we need to wait on the Fire Chief Assessment Center until those positions are
Oh,
filled?
it's not, it's just a question of my time. It was the end of the fiscal year and a bunch of other things that are going on. It's got nothing to do with the other positions, just me. We have to go out and do a procurement process, we have to go to bid. It's quite a lengthy process.
I'd just like to see the process started sooner rather
Okay.
than later. In terms of Andover water contract, do we have an extension on that, or we have a new agreement?
We are negotiating an agreement as we speak for an extension. The extension will just simply get us through the summertime until we can get the pieces in place to get a new agreement done.
All right, if my recollection was correct, that extension we had only went through June 17th.
Right, and I am not fearful of our water being shut off. We just signed a purchase order for $1.2 million with the town of Andover, which in itself is a contract. A purchase order is actually a contract. So we're waiting. I had some problems with the fact that I had a DPW director that was out for a number of months. He's just come back. I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
Just a couple of comments. I also congratulate Donald Stats on his appointment to fire captain. In addition, I welcome back, I'm happy to hear that our DPW director is back and working full-time. That was excellent news. A couple of things I like to see happen, and hopefully I can have my colleagues join in. I think it's important, and the employees may think it's interesting coming from me, but I think it's important to have an employee appreciation day. I think it's something that's lacking here. And also the possibility of setting up some sort of employee of the month program or some incentive program if they can bring something to the table that brings about efficiencies or cost savings in some regard. I think that'd be something that we should look into doing.
Okay.
I would ask my colleagues to support me in that regard.
You want to comment on Appreciation Day?
No? No, I don't.
I think it was Marcy Bailey had set something like that up when she was on the board as far as, I was interpreting what you were saying as the employees bringing something to the table to cost savings, and I think we gave them an award of $100 or something like that. Is that in the line of what you're thinking? Not necessarily $100, I'm just saying. I think
Exactly.
Marcy did that,
We did
Quite a few years ago
We
we
did
did
a few
that,
years back.
right, she had a great idea, and I don't know why it hasn't been continued. It probably might be a good idea to be.
Have to come up with new ideas, a good idea.
Well, I mean, you can only come up with so many. I mean,
I
it's kind of tough, but
Well, I think there's something.
conceptually, I think it's a great idea.
I think it's worthwhile to consider, something to offer. I think we have employees that go above and beyond the call of duty. There's several. The one that comes to mind is Marty Tilton, just as an example. I think there's a lot to be said from little things that we can offer to our employees that will go a long way. And I think over time, there's been a divide here. It's one way of getting back together in terms of a cohesive group between the employees and this board. And I know I've probably had a lot to do with it in my comments and my positions I've taken, but it's always been to preserve jobs. But I think it's something that we can do to foster that relationship.
Anything else?
That's all.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Steve?
Just a few things. I got some correspondence from Mystic Valley Elder Services, Dan O'Leary, the Executive Director, and Mary Prunny, our Director of Elder Affairs, in relation to a transportation grant that Mystic Valley Elder Services was successful in obtaining. And I'll just read a brief portion of what was said here that I have. I think most of the other members got the same correspondence. But transportation remains one of the greatest challenges for our growing senior population and adults with disabilities. Needs assessment and community focus groups conducted by Mystic Valley Elder Services have clearly documented this increasing critical and unmet need. However, the ability for area councils on aging to meet this demand has decreased due to limited resources. Using a federal grant specifically targeted for transportation, Mystic Valley Elder Services has developed a new volunteer driver transportation program called Trip Metro North. And it's for people aged 60+ and adults with disabilities who are unable to drive and have no other transportation. Mystic Valley Elder Services and the Council on Aging are collaborating to launch the pilot program. It's a pilot program in North Reading this summer. So it's going to be a terrific thing that obviously there's a need, and Mystic Valley and Mrs. Prunny have successfully come up with some grant monies to meet this targeted need. So Trip Metro North is community-based, and what it will do is basically gets people to get their neighbors, their friends, to volunteer as drivers to arrange for transportation as they see fit. And Trip Metro North will offer mileage reimbursement incentives to those volunteer drivers who assist eligible passengers. So people will be reimbursed their mileage rate to assist their neighbors and friends, and it's going to be a terrific program, and they'd be congratulated for doing it. Again, Trip Metro North is not intended to replace existing transportation services provided by the Council on Aging and Christian Community Services. So this is to supplement. People traveling with these programs should continue to do so, and their aim is to supplement these resources by offering travel to destinations beyond the scope of those programs. So there's a fact sheet, and what I would suggest, and you'll be seeing more, getting more information on this through our Council on Aging and Mystic Valley Elder Services, and they're to be congratulated for, chasing down these funds and actually setting up North Reading as a pilot program. And of course, Dan O'Leary, who's no relation, has done a fine job at Mystic Valley. He's done a fantastic job at Mystic Valley Elder Services, and the level of services that delivered to the residents of North Reading far surpasses any investment that we make. And Mrs. Prenny is doing a terrific job as a member of the board of Mystic Valley, and working with them to coordinate this effort. So
So seniors that are interested in getting more information about this should contact.
just contact the senior center. Yep.
Very good.
And, but I would expect that there'll be more in the way of press releases promoting the program. And terrific.
Anything else, Steve?
Yes, there is. I too would like to congratulate Don Stats on his appointment as captain. It's a fine choice, and I know he'll do a fine job. I too was trying to make it to the swearing in, but was unable to do so. So congratulations to Don and to those other candidates, as you pointed out, that sought the appointment. There'll be more opportunities, and appreciate their interest in bettering themselves and moving up the chain of command. It's good. It's a good thing. I forgot to mention at our last meeting the passing of Ronnie White, the owner of Kitty's, one of the owners of Kitty's, a great member of the business community and member of the community for over 60 years. And Ronnie, untimely passing just last month. And then just this past week, Bill Strout, who was owner of Reading Lumber for a number of years and the Amish trader, passed away at a young age after a tough battle with cancer. So those are two members of our community who were great contributing members of the community for over 40, in some cases almost 60 years. So their presence is going to be missed, and my condolences to their family, and certainly appreciated all their support over the years. And just as a final note on the zip trip, it was a tremendous success. I was favorably impressed with everything that went on, and have a far greater appreciation for those people that go out every Friday from Fox 25 trying to herd cats, and get things coordinated. They did a terrific job. I think it presented the community in a great light. Michael's not here. He's to be congratulated for helping that together, along with Deb and her brother. And my star rose and pretty much plateaued, but I appreciated the opportunity for my 4 minutes of fame. And it really, I just thought it went very well. I was able to go back online and just watch all the segments, and everybody did a terrific job that weighed in. And again, I think it did a good job of highlighting the community. I think Brad Jones did a great job of bringing everybody around town. So it was good. So I think it was a terrific thing, and I got a T-shirt out of the deal. So it was good.
Disclose that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
I would personally like to thank Mike and all those that participated in bringing the zip trip to the community. Certainly was a highlight for North Reading. Some comments I heard from the Fox people, which I think is also, very favorable for the community. They made some very favorable comments about the North Reading kids, students that attended, in terms of their behavior. And they said, that the plastic chain around the place they've had to put up in the past to keep the kids restrained, and they said they